Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyas Saraswata Shishimate Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Rayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatu Dhiraye Nasta Prayeshu Bhaktreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. So today we are continuing our reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are currently on chapter 19 of Canto 5, which is entitled The Island of Jambudvipa. And we are at the part where the residence of Lord Ramachandra is described. And it is said that he lives actually Hanuman is always engaged in worshipping Lord Ramachandra and all the inhabitants of the land of Kim Purusha. So basically, this is the description of Bharatvarsha, but then different lands there, and who is there, and in which form the Lord is worshipped there. So in this Kim Purusha Varsha, the great devotee Hanuman is always engaged with the inhabitants of that land in devotional service to Lord Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshman and dear husband of Sita Devi. So the prayers we are going to read now are the prayers of Hanuman. And they are not written in a poetic way, but more as I will just read the verse. We cannot sing it. It's not written like that. But I will try something, so you don't have to repeat anything. Om Namo Bhagavate Uttama Shlokaya Namarya Lakshana Shila Vrataya Nama Upashik Shikshistatmana Upasita Lokaya Namaha Sadhuvadam Nikashanaya Namo Brahmanya Devaya Mahapurushaya Maharajaya Namaiti. So word by word translation of the text 3 is Om, that you can repeat. O my Lord, Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uttama Shlokaya, who is always worshipped with selected verses. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Arya Lakshana, Shila Vrataya, who possesses all the good qualities of advanced personalities. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Upashikshita Atmane, unto you, whose senses are under control. Upasita Lokaya, who is always remembered and worshipped by all the different classes of living entities. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Sadhuvada Nikshanayam, to the Lord, who is like a stone for examining all the good qualities of a sadhu. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Brahmanya Devaya, who is worshipped by the most qualified brahmanas. Mahapurushaya, unto the Supreme Lord, who is worshipped by the Purusha Shukta, because of being the cause of this material creation. Maharajaya, unto the Supreme King, or the kings of all kings. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Iti, thus. Translation. Let me please your lordship by chanting the bija mantra Omkara. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is the best among the most highly elevated personalities. Your lordship is the reservoir of all good qualities of Aryans, people who are advanced. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind. Acting just like an ordinary human being, you exhibit exemplary character to teach others how to behave. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold, but you are like a touchstone that can verify all good qualities. You are worshipped by the Brahmanas, who are the foremost of all the devotees. You, the Supreme Person, are the King of Kings, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. And I will read text 4 as well. Yat tad vishuddha nubhava mantra ekam svateja sadvasta guna vyavastam pratyak prashantam sudiya palamvanam hi anamarupam niraham prapadyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So it's going to be a longer purport and verse also. Just want to see the time. So again, the continuation of the prayer. The Lord, whose pure form, Sachidananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature, and because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, appears in various expansions, as stated in Brahma Samhita. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations, such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. Krishna, who is Vishnu Tattva, has expanded himself in many Vishnu forms, of which Lord Ramachandra is one. We know that the Vishnu Tattva is carried by the transcendental bird Garuda and is equipped with different types of weapons in 4 hands. Therefore, we may doubt whether Lord Ramachandra could be in the same category, since he was carried by Hanuman, not by Garuda, and had neither 4 hands nor the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. So these are the things that he carries in his hands, the lotus flower, the club. We have them here on the altar. The lotus flower, the club, the chakra, and what is the fourth? The conch shell. Yeah. Consequently, this verse clarifies that Ramachandra is as good as Krishna, Ramadi Murtishu Kala. Although Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramachandra is not different from him. Ramachandra is unaffected by the modes of material nature, and therefore he is prashanta, never disturbed by those modes. Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramachandra. One cannot see him with material eyes. Because demons like Ravana have no spiritual vision, they consider Lord Ramachandra an ordinary Kshatriya king. Ravana therefore attempted to kidnap Lord Ramachandra's eternal consort, Sita Devi. Actually, however, Ravana could not carry off Sita Devi in her original form. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hands, she gave him a material form, but she maintained her original form beyond his vision. Therefore, in this verse, the word Pratyak Prashantam indicate that Lord Ramachandra and his potency, the goddess Sita, keep themselves aloof from the influence of the material energy. In the Upanishads, it is said, Yam evaishya vrinutetena labhyaha. The Supreme Lord, Paramatma, the personality of Godhead, can be seen or perceived only by persons who are saturated with devotional service, as stated in the Brahma Samhita. I worship the primeval Lord, Govinda, who is always seen by the devotees whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form as Shyamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. Similarly, in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is stated, Etas Tisro Devata Ananena Jivena. In this verse of Chandogya Upanishad, the word Anena is used to distinguish the Atma and Paramatma as two separate identities. The word Tishro Devata indicate that the body of the living entity is made of three material elements, fire, earth, and water. Although the Paramatma enters the heart of Jivatma, who is influenced and designated by a material body, the Paramatma has nothing to do with the Jivatma's body. Because the Paramatma has no material connection, he is described here as Anamarupam Niraham. The Paramatma has no material identity, whereas Jivatma does. Jivatma may introduce himself as Indian, American, German, and so on, but the Paramatma has no such material designations, and therefore he has no material name. The Jivatma is different from his name, but the Paramatma is not. His name and he himself are one and the same. This is the meaning of Niraham, which means without material designations. This word cannot possibly be twisted to mean that the Paramatma has no ahankara, no I-ness or identity. He has his transcendental identity as the Supreme. This is the explanation given by Srila Jiva Goswami. According to another interpretation given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Niraham means Nirishchayena Aham. Niraham does not mean that the Supreme Lord has no identity. Rather, the stress given by the word Aham proves strongly that he does have his personal identity, because Nir not only means negative, but also means strong, ascertainment. And I looked for that word, but now I forgot what it means. But I'll look again. Don't know all English words. This near does not mean negative, but also means strong ascertainment, and ascertainment means the process of finding something out for certain. So I don't understand quite that sentence, but maybe it will come. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah, we said that already. I wanted to say Om Jnanatimirantasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitamina Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Desha Tarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, I mean, now this clock goes relatively okay. First it was like going all this time. I mean, it's 7:51 and here it's 8:51. So anyway.
Before it was the same. It's just 1 hour ahead for some reason.
Yeah, but when you put it on and I was singing, the this, how do you call this? Yeah, the hands of the clock were going like very quickly, and then now it stopped here. So it's
supposed to be radio controlled. But it's not functioning.
Okay, that's way too much. Okay, so let's engage our time in discussing about Krishna. So it is very nice, this section of, I mean, for me, Canto 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam is the most difficult one because it describes so many things that I cannot intellectually understand because I cannot see it. You know, it gives the description of the universe. So it is said that the cosmology of the universe is described in Canto 5. So now we have the description of Bharatvarsha, but this part is nice because it enlists the lands in which certain devotees live, and in these lands they worship the Lord in a certain way, and they offer him prayers. So if you ever are inclined to worship certain personality, I think it's very nice that we can read these prayers, because then we are following the footsteps of the most exalted devotees of the Lord, in this case Hanuman, who is the great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, and who very nicely praises and glorifies the Lord. And he also teaches us how to offer the prayers to the Supreme. So to offer the prayers always means that we need to know a little bit about the Lord, and we should glorify him, which he does. Of course, he's a pure devotee, so he's not asking anything from him. But even if we were to ask, first we should glorify and then also state our humble position, in the sense that we are so tiny and he's so big. And then we should state our case to him and also offer prayers of gratitude to the Lord. So that's how the devotees should pray. But these are even more perfect prayers, because Hanuman is definitely a personality who never asks anything for himself. So in that sense, this is the perfection of the prayers that can be offered to the Lord. And he, of course, because he has a full realization of the Lord, when he offers the prayers of glorification, he really he knows what he's talking about, let's say it like that, because he has a full realization of who the Lord is and how he manifests his qualities. But he, of course, always, whatever he says, he compares it to the scriptures. So last time I gave a lecture, I was talking about that Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, they say the same. And then we were discussing how for the person who is in a pure consciousness, there is always one answer to the questions. So we can also see that here in text 4, because it is said that only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. So only if we are on the transcendental platform, actually, we can see the Lord as he is. But nevertheless, even though we are not on the transcendental platform of purity, still there are ways in which we can see the Lord. And hints about how he can be perceived are given by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So we also mentioned during the lectures that Krishna manifested 3 forms when speaking the Bhagavad Gita: the 2-handed form, 4-handed form, and the universal form. So he presented himself as such to Arjuna. Also, Arjuna had to have the divine eyes to see the transcendental form of the Lord. So even that form, which is actually how the Lord is in the world, because he created everything and he puts himself in the world through this universal form. And this universal form is actually what is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as an imaginary form of the Lord. Because we, in order to perceive it somehow in our intellect, then we have to imagine that, I don't know, the Brahmanas are the head of the Lord, the Kshatriyas are the hands of the Lord, and the Vaishyas are the stomach of the Lord, and Shudras are the legs of the Lord. And then there are many other descriptions given in the scriptures. And he presents himself how he's situated in the material world, or how we can perceive him in everything through the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, what actually Bhagavad Gita is trying to do is to change our vision. So changing our vision means that giving us a different perspective of the world around us. And this different perspective of the world around us is actually what makes us see Krishna everywhere. He explains himself how he's situated in every heart of the living entity. He's also situated in all the atoms. And then he also describes his opulence when he says that he's strength of the strong, that he's the intelligence, that he gives the intelligence to people. Then he also describes himself as of the aquatics, I am shark, of the great bodies of water, I am the ocean, and things like that. So by giving these examples and describing his qualities, he's actually inspiring us to change the vision in the sense that we see him everywhere. He also says that he's the taste of water. So when you drink water, you can also remember Krishna in that sense. And it doesn't mean that the water is Krishna, but maybe that feeling and the taste that we have from the water, something similar also happens when someone approaches Krishna. So it gets some satisfaction and nourishment. So there's a nice book which is, I think, called Krishna's Meditations, and it was written by Urmila Devi Dasi, and I forgot now the name of the other lady. So what they did is that they went through the Bhagavad Gita and all these descriptions of the qualities, and they even went into depth of it, so that you can have like really nice meditations on Krishna by reading the Bhagavad Gita. So this is one way that Krishna says, you can perceive me. The second way that Krishna can be seen in the material world, because in this verse it is described how we cannot see him by material senses. So therefore he comes in the form of the deity. And that's why we have deities in temples, because it's the form of the Lord that is very merciful and that comes to this world to give us an opportunity to develop a relationship with Lord Krishna and to serve him. So you don't have to be a pujari on the altar. You can be in any service that you have in this temple or even outside of the temple. But actually what you're doing service for the deity in the temple. So he's the main guy. And when Srila Prabhupada would establish deities in the world, then he would give them wonderful names. And names were connected with the quality of Krishna of being a king or the ruler of a place. So that's why we have Radha Londonishvara. So he's the master of London. Then we have Radha Parisishvara, which means that he's the master of Paris. So probably there are other names. I don't know them. But It's just that they're like the king of the place. So everyone is actually serving him. So let's say it's similarly the devotees who live in certain countries and are connected with certain temples, they're actually serving the main deity in the temple. Even the deities that you have at home are considered to be an expansion of the deity in the temple. So in a way, we are always serving Krishna in various forms, but it's always the same Krishna. Even though we have, for example, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra on the altar and Gaurnitai, that doesn't mean we don't see Radha and Krishna if we worship them. Maybe they're not manifested externally in that form, but we know that Jagannath is the blackish Shyama Sundar. It's just that this mood of Krishna is Krishna in Vipralamba Kshetra, when he is in separation from Srimati Radharani, so in Mathura, actually. And the whole Jagannath Puri has stories of Vipralamba or separation. So this is the mood in which we worship the Lord, and this is the mood in which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also worshipped Krishna. So the deity is also a form by which we can perceive Krishna in this world. And in scriptures, many scriptures, and especially Upanishad, but there are others as well, it is described that there is no difference between the deity in the temple and the transcendental form of Sachitananda Vigraha. That's the same form in the spiritual world. So they are the same, they have the same potency, so it may look like he has assumed the form of wood or, I don't know, metal or marble, but that's the same personality. He just assumed this material because you cannot perceive him in any other way. So he had to come like this. So this is his mercy. And there are many examples of how the deity spoke and even walked. Do you remember the name of the deity? Yeah, he was quite cool. So he walked far away to witness the words of his devotee. And there are many instances in which the deity would eat the food or drink the water or did many things. Appear in dreams of the pujaris. And recently, if you were following our forum, you could see how a certain deities appeared in the dreams of this devotee who was a disciple of Shivaram Swami, and then this deity gave instructions on where to be found, and then this devotee followed the instructions in the dream and found this deity, and now it's a big thing. But this is also what happened to most of the deities. I just didn't read these stories for a long time, so I don't remember the details. But for example, Govindaji, the deity of Govindaji, was also found through revelation in the dream and instructions in the dream. And then Rupa Goswami was instructed to, I don't know, go on a hill, I think, where the cow was, where the cow's milk from the uterus was pouring down on that spot. And then when he, thanks, when he digged it, then he digged the deity of Govindaji, I think, yeah. And this is where he appeared. And there is, so the temple, the old temple in Vrindavan, contains this yoga pit. And yoga pit is the place where the deity appeared, right? So on this place, the temple was built. And the deity was installed there, but I don't remember when exactly. He had to be moved to Jaipur. And now he's the king of Jaipur. And I really love that deity. He's just so amazing because I mean, I knew a little bit about him, but then when we were driving from Govardhan to Jaipur, then I was listening to lectures of Indradyumna Swami, and he has great stories about Govindaji. And I even read it before, but I didn't know it was that deity. So anyway, that story, I don't remember the name of the king, but he was worshipping Govindaji and he built him a temple. And actually the temple of Govindaji is situated in the palace. So it was like the king was not a king, but actually the Govindaji was the king. So he would worship him every day. And he was very dutiful king, and he would do his duties, but I don't remember how long, 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day, he wanted not to be disturbed, and that he would just worship his deity. And he would never break this dedication to the Lord. And then the city was attacked by someone, I don't remember who, and he was supposed to go and protect the city. And he didn't go because he wanted to worship Govindaji, because or his Shilas or something. Govindaji was in the temple, but he was like meditating. I know that it was not the same place. Yes. So I mixed that part, so I apologize. But I just think it's fascinating, even though I don't know the correct information of the story, but the essence is there. So the king was worshipping the deity. But what actually happened is that what other people saw is that he came into the room and then he went out dressed in an armor, ready for fight, and he really fought like miraculously, like in this battlefield, and he defeated the enemy, and then he went back to his room and closed the doors. But he was also, I think, wounded a little bit. Someone cut him somewhere in this battle, and he entered inside. And then these soldiers were, or whoever, his servants were worried about him, and then they wanted to see what happened to him because he had this injury. And then they went to this room, and then the king opened the door, and he stepped outside, and he was wondering, like, what do you all want? Why are you disturbing me in my meditation? And everyone was thinking, well, are you okay? Because we just saw you, that you were fighting, and you got this injury, and then you went into your room, and we just wanted to check if you were okay. And the king said, like, no, I was not in the battle. I was in my room worshipping my deity. Maybe he had his personal deities of Krishna. And then he realized, like, well, maybe it was Krishna who came and fought the enemy and protected the city. And then they went to the main temple, and then they saw, I don't know, that Govindaji had either ripped clothes on his part of the body what the injury was, or something like that, and he was not very clean. So then they concluded that actually it was Krishna who took the form of the king and went and fought. And even the servants and the soldiers said, like, yeah, that must be true, because when you were fighting there, we thought that you looked so beautiful. That was one thing. And the other thing, we never saw you fight in this way. And he was totally like beating all the enemies and so on. So this beauty and opulence of Krishna was manifested there. So it was the deity. And this deity who defended the city is still worshipped and praised in Jaipur. And it's a beautiful mood because you have a feeling like the whole city is attending Mangalarati. So that's quite fascinating. There are so many people. I don't like crowds, and for me it was, but it was wonderful at the same time. And these people are shouting out their hearts out, like for the prayers. They're so loud. And the whole day they're worshipping. So every time there's an arati, it's like the sea of people is just coming into the temple to worship Govindaji. And when the altar is closed, then they go around and go around. Anyway, I can't pronounce the word. And they go around the temple room, and then they sing his praises. And it's really cool. Yeah, and they usually sing actually to Radharani, so it's really nice. So I really liked Govindaji, and he really looked like very alive. And I even saw him before I saw Radha Shyama Sundar in Vrindavan, because I was only first at Govardhan. And in Govardhan there are like small deities, like mostly Govardhan Shilas in the temples, and maybe few like bigger deities, but they're quite small. And so when I saw the Govindaji, that was the first time that I could see like a really big deity, and it was really fascinating. Like the whole atmosphere and how he's alive, and how the whole city is alive and dedicated like to the deity. So it was really nice to see that. So and this is very important, because in this verse it is said that unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he cannot see him. So that's why there was a quotation from Brahma Samhita, where it is said, Brahma, Lord Brahma says, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotees whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. So, and that's how, I mean, and especially if you are in an association of the devotees who are so pure that they can see the Lord, then you are affected by their energy. So in a way, you can also see. You're affected with the mood, because everything is energy. Actually, we can perceive, maybe we are not conscious of it, but very often we can feel other people's energies. So we can also feel if someone is an exalted person and, for example, has the ability to see Krishna because he has developed love for him. So this is another way that Krishna manifests in this world. And you can also see that even though he manifests like in the world, like within all these elements and in the deity and also in other people, he also manifests through, interactions with others. We are praying to the Lord for something and then another person comes with an answer. So like this also Krishna can be perceived because Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. So like this he can also manifest to us. So it's always through something in the material world until we become so pure that we can actually see the spiritual form. And this spiritual form, before it is visible in front of our eyes, it is visible in the heart of a devotee. So the continuation of the verse from the Bhagavad Gita goes that he's seen in his eternal form of Shyamasundar situated within the heart of the devotee. So in the heart of the devotee, everything is going on. The meditation, the pastimes of the Lord, and so on. And with this purity, when we have that purity, we can see that. And the 6 Goswamis, when they wrote books about Krishna Leelas, those Leelas were revealed to them in their hearts. So it's through the heart that they saw. And this, someone may say, well, how is that possible? But Krishna says, I am situated in the hearts of all living entities. That's one thing. And he also says, I give a remembrance, forgetfulness, intelligence. So he gives knowledge about himself. And this is also something that I mentioned in my last class. And that is that it is natural for the soul to know. Because knowledge, eternity, and bliss are natural qualities of the soul. So automatically by knowing ourselves, achieving self-realization, we can also have an understanding of God because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So we can understand his qualities. And also Krishna reveals himself in front of the devotees. And I also mentioned that one example is given of Lord Brahma, who is actually saying this prayer. So when he meditated for the creation, in order to create, he was doing certain austerities, and then the Lord revealed the knowledge in his heart about the creation. But before revealing the knowledge, he also appeared to Krishna, appeared to Lord Brahma in his various forms. And I was actually even doing a research of it, which of course now I don't remember because I have a Kali Yuga brain. Anyway, I was doing a research of because you know that in Srimad Bhagavatam there are the second, I don't know which cantos, I know it's the third canto and I don't know which canto also, where you have a description of what Lord Brahma saw. So I was exploring that, and even though Lord Brahma is born out of the lotus that's coming from the navel of Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, he creates like everything after meditation on Krishna, and then he sees Krishna in front of himself. And I already said that when Krishna appears, he appears with everything. So what Lord Brahma sees is not only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also like associates the spiritual world and so on. And he's also given mantras. We know in Gopal Upanishad or something, I forgot again the name, where Lord Brahma is given the Gopala mantra. And based on Gopala mantra, he's actually meditating, and with these bijas, he's actually creating the material world. So you have this Upanishad where Lord Brahma sees Krishna as the cowherd boy. We also have Brahma Samhita, where he says that he sees Lord Govinda. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have that actually once he sees Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, then he sees Lord Narayan, and so on. So that was quite interesting for me, like, why would it be described differently in different scriptures? And my conclusion so far was that since Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Shishi Gurnitai Ki Jai. So Lord Brahma has to create every time he wakes up. So there has to be, because we know that everything is created in a day of Brahma, but when Brahma goes to sleep, then there's this like small dissolution. And maybe like the heavenly planets, some of them are still here, but all of these other things are destroyed. And it's, of course, logical that heavenly planets are here, and I don't think all of them, but Brahmaloka definitely, because Brahma is there. He's sleeping, so it cannot be destroyed. So anyway, but when he wakes up, it's like, he was in the mode of ignorance, so he forgot a little bit. So again, he has to meditate, and then again, he has to create. And every time it's like Lord Brahma is getting new realizations of Krishna himself. And it is described, I forgot where, that now he's 51 years old. So also like the descriptions that are given are actually different ages in which he saw Krishna. That's also like some research that I made. So it's like quite interesting how the vision of Brahma also changes. But in the end, he is a devotee of Lord Govinda because he sees him. And because of this, he forgets. So in each day, for example, of Lord Brahma, a new Srimad Bhagavatam is also written because, he creates everything. He also creates the Vedas, which are coming, I think, from his breeding, and so on. So the story is similar, but there are differences because nothing is ever the same, in creation. So I don't know, I maybe said now too much, but I just found it so interesting in which way the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals, for example, to Lord Brahma. But in the end, he is the one who sees him in the heart, and then the manifestation from the heart becomes manifested in front of the devotee. So if the devotee has that love. So just to see if I wanted to say something more. Yeah, so I just wanted to say today, like, which are the ways in which we can see Lord Krishna. So, just to repeat, he describes himself in the Bhagavad Gita in a lot of details, and he wants us to change our vision of how we see the world, and he wants us to see him in the world. So therefore he gives a lot of examples and descriptions of how we can meditate on him and how we can see him. And then we mentioned how Krishna manifests in the form of the deity and why and how we can serve him. And we gave example of Govindaji in Jaipur, who was even defending the city from the enemy, and how the deity was actually alive and protecting the citizens and protecting his devotee. And then we said that Krishna also manifests, that was a little bit said about that, not too much, that Krishna manifests himself in other persons, through the sadhus or through someone, because we pray, we are looking for answers, and then someone comes with some wisdom, and then we can say, well, this definitely comes from Krishna, and we know that is true because Krishna is situated in every heart of each living entity, so he can inspire people to, give the message to his devotees. And Krishna is also situated in everyone's heart. And here, a lot of things were said about the Paramatma. And we also have an example of Lord Brahma, who wrote the Brahma Samhita and who said that this Lord is seen in the eternal form of Shyamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. And only people whose eyes are anointed with love can actually see Krishna everywhere. And in a way that's quite natural, and I will just give one example. Like if you're in love with someone, then or you don't have to be in love like with a opposite sex, but you can also, I don't know, have a child that you love very much. And then in things that you see around yourself, there can be many things that remind you of the child or of your partner, because you have so much love for these persons. So in that sense, if you love Krishna, then everything will remind you of him, and he also gives hints of how he can remind you of himself in the scriptures. So that's all I had for today. Do you have any comments, experiences, questions, or something?
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions the Garuda as a transcendental bird.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it goes off the topic.
No, it's okay.
But I've heard the statements that Garuda belongs to Vishnu Tattva.
Mm-hmm.
According to this statement in purport, it's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Transcendental birds, it's Vishnu Tattva.
Yeah, that's what describes Srila Prabhupada in the purport. He says that the Garuda carries how did he say it? Yeah, but he said that, yeah, Vishnu Tattva. So the Vishnu forms are carried by Lord Garuda. Yeah, he said, but Lord Ramachandra is not carried by Lord Garuda, and how can you say then that he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead? But then Srila Prabhupada explains how, because the scriptures describe him as such, and because he has these qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is also confirmed by his devotees, in this case Hanuman, therefore we consider him also Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is like for those who doubt whether Lord Ramachandra is Vishnu Tattva, but it is said in the scriptures that Lord Ramachandra is not different from Krishna, and he is described also in the scriptures, and we know that whoever is an incarnation of the Lord, he has to be mentioned in the scriptures, and his qualities and the purpose why he came and so on. So all of that is prescribed by Lord Ramachandra, so therefore he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also the example was given of Ravana, who didn't have love for Lord Ramachandra, and therefore he could not see him as God, and he could not see Sita as a female counterpart of Lord Rama, as a goddess of fortune, and they themselves remained hidden for Ravana because of that. So when Ravana kidnapped Sita, he didn't actually kidnap her, he just kidnapped a shadow, or like illusion of some Sita, but the real Sita is never separated from Lord Ramachandra. And this also indicates that people who don't have love for Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any forms, they cannot recognize him as the Supreme. And Krishna also says that in the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know which verse, but the whole world doesn't know me. And they think I'm the ordinary human being, but actually I'm not. I have all these transcendental qualities, and then he describes all of them to Arjuna. And Arjuna can see Krishna as he is he knows that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he also has this intimate relationship with him. But because of the love that Arjuna has for Krishna, Krishna reveals himself. Even though Arjuna maybe forgets that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of this love and also the purpose he wants to achieve, Lord Krishna then manifests in front of him as such and speaks the Bhagavad Gita. So, yeah. So we need to love Krishna if we want to see him. You wanted to say something?
I have another question. My English is not so good, so maybe he was speaking about the age of Brahma. Do we know how old he is?
Yeah, 51.
51.
Yes.
I understood right.
Yeah, he's 51. But this whole story about him is very complicated. Yeah, so... Yeah. And I forgot in which scripture it was. I mean, I did that 3 or 4 years ago, so I forgot a little bit. But in some scripture, everything is described, like how old he is and things like that. But for me, it's fascinating sometimes, like why the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the description of Lord Narayan that he sees, but actually he worships Govinda. So for me, that's bewildering. And the other thing that is bewildering is if at the beginning of the creation, whichever creation we talk about, he saw Govinda, and so he had a full realization. How did he forget about him? Because he also, did many, like he kidnapped the cowherd boys and things like that. So even though he saw him in this form of a cowherd boy, still when he appeared as a cowherd boy, he didn't recognize him. So that's also fascinating how this Maya works. So yeah. Okay, thank you. Now it's, I think, time. Thank you for your attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.